100% Cairns and the tropical north. Good morning, it's 8464CA. Welcome to our Wellness Tuesday and something a little bit different today and maybe over the next couple of weeks. My special guest in studio this morning from Wellness Embodied, we have the director, Suzanne Rath. How are you this morning, Suzanne?
I'm well, thanks, Murray. How are you?
Really good. As always, you've been doing some really exciting things and we're going to talk a little bit more about hyperbaric oxygen therapy. But tell me a little bit more about what you've been doing overseas, but particularly let's start with running the trails between Sydney and Newcastle recently.
Yeah, so at Easter this year, I ran 270 Ks on trail from Sydney to Newcastle. So elevation close to 10,000 metres.
Yeah.
It took me nearly 80 hours. I had about 6 hours of sleep over 3 nights, and really it was just about seeing if it was possible. So it wasn't an organised event, but I just got it in my head that I wanted to do it at the end of last year, and off I went.
And so it was possible.
Yeah, just about.
That is such an incredible experiment, it really is. Now, a little bit earlier on this year, in January, riding from the coast of Chile all the way to the coast of Argentina.
Yeah, it's January 2025. So we'd like to take on, I used to take on one big event a year. Over the last couple of years, I've just done big event after big event. So it was an organised event. My husband, my brother and I joined up with a group called Rat Race, and we cycled from just north of Valparaiso in Chile to just south of Buenos Aires, so including up and over the Andes.
Wow, incredible. I believe Chile is very good for bike riders, but there can be some challenges there in Argentina, but we'll leave that one for another time. Now, look, this is all a part, I guess, of what you continue to do is set goals and achieve them. Now, let's talk a little bit more about hyperbaric oxygen therapy and how that all fits into the incredible things that you've been achieving.
Yeah, so I guess, just to go back, a big part of my vision, obviously, with Wellness Embodied was to create this space where we treated the whole person and not just a body part and, where we brought all these innovative things in. And we, for many years, have run a concussion clinic. It's something I'm really passionate about. I had a post-concussion syndrome quite a number of years ago after I was hit by a car. And we started to hear about hyperbaric oxygen therapy in that space. And then when we looked into getting the machines, I did more and more research, and I actually saw the volume of conditions and health concerns and illnesses and so on that it's used for overseas, and not so much in Australia right now, but it is really taking off. So personally, I go in the chamber about twice a week, and I've found in terms of my recovery from endurance events, it has been incredible. But yeah, we initially came to that space from a brain health point of view and, recovering from traumatic brain injuries and so on.
Okay. And tell me, how does it, what's the physical, how does it actually work? What's the key thing that the chamber actually does?
So essentially you're in a chamber, either seated or we have a lying down one, which is just like being in a comfortable swag. And you are at the equivalent of between 3 and 10 metres underwater, breathing 98% oxygen. So what that pressure does is it increases the oxygen that goes into your blood vessels by up to 10 times what it normally is. And in doing that, it actually pushes oxygen out into kind of the dead spots and into your lymph glands and so on. And that's why it has traditionally been seen as really good for wound healing. So people like diabetes with chronic wounds and so on, that's the theory behind it, because it's actually pushing that oxygen into the spaces that otherwise aren't receiving oxygen for healing.
Wow. So my next question was, who could possibly benefit from this treatment? But in a lot of ways, you've just covered it. Even people with brain injuries, diabetes, from what you said, so a whole range of issues.
Yeah. Look, I think there's a site called Hyperbaric Experts, and there's a huge research drop down, and there's easily 40 to 50 conditions on there. I think even from a well-being point of view, it is certainly worth considering. The thing about it is, you won't notice a huge change after one session, but it's thinking, well, what do I want to achieve? So for me, if I get out of the chamber, I don't feel massively different. But when I look back at my recovery and my how healthy I've been and so on since I started using it, really it just speaks for itself.
And even with immunity, I understand.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things on people just not getting colds and flus as much, or if they get them, they don't last as long. That's definitely something that I have seen.
Wow, that's quite incredible. Well, for people that would like to find out a little bit more about this, and if it's something that may suit them and actually work for them, if they're going through a range of particular issues, what do we need to do?
So we do have a mild hyperbaric oxygen therapy page on our website, so just on our wellnessembodiedcairns.com website. We do an initial assessment with one of our physios for it, just to make sure that it's safe for you.
Yep.
And essentially they would then give you the guidelines on how many sessions to try at first, maybe see what you want to measure as a result of the sessions, and go from there.
Okay, even if you are, or even if you're not planning to ride from the coast of Chile to the coast of Argentina, or basically tackle the trails between Sydney and Newcastle, it's something that could be certainly worthwhile for you. Suzanne Rath from Wellness Embodied, the director there. Wonderful to talk to you, and we're going to catch you again in a couple of weeks' time. Cheers.
Thank you.